Dad. YouTube fam, what is up? Back with another video. So cheers to you. Welcome back to another video. Before I jump into this, I do want to say very quickly, for WPPI 2023, I'm hosting a lighting workshop. I'm also doing a small photo walk that I'm actually really excited about, and I'm starting my webinars. So if you're interested in any of that, if you want information, or if you want to come out, support me, come to any of these things, go to AnthonyToglife.com. You can get all the information. You can register, all of those good things. So we're talking about pocket lights. Now in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about the Ivisii G2. Now Ivisii reached out to me about doing a video on these pocket lights. You know, when I do these videos, when companies send me products, I only take products that I have a use for. So I don't just take them just to do videos. I take them because I have a use for it and I feel like the product would be beneficial to my audience. So when Ivisii reached out to me about doing a review on this pocket light, or not a review, just doing a video on it, there were two things that really caught my eye. And you guys know, I don't do these videos and try to be like all super markety and trying to push you to buy stuff. If you want to buy it, cool. If you don't, that's cool too. I'm just letting you know how I feel about it, and it's, it's Toglife approved, right? So there were two things that really caught my eye about this. The size of it caught my eye. Number one, I felt like it was going to be more useful just off of the sheer size and power. But the second thing, and probably the thing that actually caught my eye first, was the design of it. This is a beautifully designed pocket light. First of all, it's like it has an aluminum case. This thing is all metal aside from the diffusion panel on the front. And then it's got this cool L bracket attachment to it. So you can kind of attach it and then it rotates around. So the design of it was really cool. So I was just like, okay, I love having pocket lights because they do have uses, which I'm about to jump into right now. And this one, it was just designed so beautifully. I was just like, yes, send me this, let me try it out. So the reason why I say every photographer should have at least one pocket light in their kit is because there are a lot of times where you just need a pop of light to be able to make your subject stand out a little bit more. Now, just about any pocket light that you have, they're not going to be that bright and that powerful, especially during the day. Now, of course, at nighttime, they're great. In low light situations, they're great, obviously. But, during the day, they're not going to be the most beneficial during the day because they're just not that powerful. Just based off of the size, you're not going to get a ton of light out of it. But they do have their use. Now, during the day, a time where I can really think about when a pocket light really comes in handy is if you're on the move and you go into a shady location. So of course, when you're out and you have a lot of light, you're placing your subject in that beautiful light, you're facing them towards the light or whatever it is that you're doing. So you don't really need any added light, but you might find a location where you're in some shade and you just want a pop of light just to bring up that exposure on your subject. You don't want to raise the camera exposure and then raise up those shadow exposures. That's where something like this really comes in handy. You can put this on top of your camera, have it face towards your subject, get a pop of light on your subject, so that way they stand out just a little bit more. And this thing is pretty daggone bright. So even, if you're in a shady area, if you got it at 100%, you could easily still be 5-10 feet away from your subject and it's going to put some light on the face. So when you're in a shady area, it's perfect for that. Obviously, if you are something like a wedding photographer or an event photographer, it goes without saying. How could you not have pocket lights? If you are any one of those photographers and you don't already own pocket lights, I guess that's fine. Maybe you've gotten by, but those are two things where these really come in handy because you're oftentimes indoors and it really is nice to be able to have something that is lightweight, something that is portable, something that you can just put on top of your camera. And again, the thing that I love about this L bracket is that you can put it on top of your camera. So there's two 1/4 inch 20 screws or mounts down at the bottom. So you can put it on your camera and then boom, you could flip it vertical this way, which is really cool. Now that you might not think that it's that cool, but I think that that's great. A lot of lights like this, and I would say probably the direct competitor to this would be like an Aperture MC or something of the sort. But most pocket lights that I've seen, the ones that I own, you know, they have a 1/4-20 built right into the light. So, you know, if you use that to put that onto your camera, you're kind of stuck having it in this direction. Now, of course, you can work around that. You can add things to it to be able to work around that, put it on a cage, whatever. But to have the flexibility to have this little L mount bracket attached to it, man, I really, really love this light. Another area where I often use these, and I actually just used this on a client shoot. I had to do some headshot stuff. So when I do headshot stuff, especially client headshot work, a lot of times, you know, I'm in like a conference room or I'm in a fairly confined space. It's not often that I have the flexibility of being in a space that's just large and I can set up however many lights I want and I have all this flexibility. Usually I am in some sort of confined space. So the shoot that I just did a week or so ago, it was in a conference room basically, but I would say probably 80% of the conference room was taken up by a large table. And that table really couldn't be moved. This was a shared workspace that the client had rented out. So I really didn't want to try to start like moving things, not to mention they had all of their computer. They had so much stuff on it. So I really didn't want to try to be moving the table. So I had enough space to be able to set up my one light because the client specifically wanted environmental type headshots. So there was big windows there. So I had to have them faced in a way and placed in a way to where I could get the window in the shot so they can get that environmental look. So I was able to set up my key light, but even that I was a bit limited because, you know, if you think about the table is here and I have my subject right here. So I have my light, but I can only bring the light over so far. So the problem that I ran into was that I had a little bit more shadow on the subject right side of their face than I liked. And I really didn't have a lot of flexibility in setting up another light. Now, of course, I could have just put a light stand on the table, but me personally, that's just not something that I want to do because even if I didn't damage the table, if there was something that was there before I ever stepped into the space, you know, they could try to blame me, they could try to blame my client. So that just really wasn't an option for me. And that's where something like this really came in. I was able to set this up. It's small, it's lightweight. I was able to set this up and get a little bit of fill on that side of the face just to fill in those shadows just enough. It wasn't overpowering to the point where it created additional shadows in the opposite direction, so there were cross shadows or anything like that. It was just enough to be able to bring up those shadows. And it does the same thing as if you bring in, a fill card or something similar to that. But having the light, it just gave me the flexibility to not have to have a big fill card. And it was just easy to set this up. And since this light is a bicolor, so it goes from 2600K to 10,000, I was able to set the right color temperature and it worked out really well. I also did this on another shoot that I did where I just want to fill in those shadows just a little bit, and this works out really well. It's fast, it's easy. Again, of course, you can set up an additional light, but having something like this just makes it easy. Those are the three main ways of how these can be used. And I think as a photographer, you will at some point run into one of these situations. That's where something like this is going to come in handy because since they aren't that powerful, you're not really going to be able to use it as a key unless you're in a low light situation. So having just enough light to be able to fill that up is great. And the battery on this thing is crazy. The battery at 100%, the battery lasts for 3 hours plus. And I'm not just saying that because it was in the marketing material. I actually tested that out. I turned the light on, put it at 100% and just let it go until it died. You need to have a pocket light as a photographer. They come in handy, and I'm sure I missed a ton of other situations where something like this would really come in handy. And with them being so small, now if I put my hand up to that, you can see that, it's about the size of my hand. So, very small, very thin. So traveling with this would be Very easy. This can fit in your bag. This, I would say this wouldn't really be able to fit in your pocket. So it's a little bit bigger than a typical pocket light. But you just never know when you're gonna need a pop of light. So having one of these is great. And I would highly recommend, if you do not have a pocket light and you're looking to get one, this Ivisii one is great. If you go on Amazon, look at the reviews on Amazon. This thing is pretty highly reviewed on Amazon. So it really is a great light. I didn't really get too much into the specs because you can go to the website and look at the specs. I'm not one to really talk about the specs, but what I do, spec wise, what I will mention, and this isn't really specs, but what I do really like about this one, that if you watch my video on the Wii light, my biggest gripe was that you couldn't control the functions of the light through the light. You had to use the app. I despise adding apps to my phone just to control things. I don't like adding apps. So I really didn't like that, and the app didn't work that great anyway. So the thing that I really love about this is that everything is controlled on the side. As a matter of fact, I don't even think you can control this with an app. You have to just use the controls. But for me, that's perfect because that's what I want. I want to be able to control everything right on the side. I don't want to have to pull my phone out, all of that. And as a side note, this is an RGB light as well. I have not really used the RGB feature of it just because I'm not too big on using RGB for anything, especially for client work, or even for like collabs and stuff. I don't really do too much color stuff, but this is an RGB light as well. So it is a really great light. So if you're in the market for one, I highly consider you check out this Ivisii G2. It is a great light. So there you have it. All of the information will be in the description below. I appreciate you watching this video. Thanks for rocking with me. I apologize that there wasn't any B-roll. You know how it go. Like I said, I hardly ever have any B-roll. But hey, I appreciate you. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Ring the notification bell, okay? I'm bringing you quality videos here. Go ahead and subscribe, ring that bell. On your way out the door, smash that thumbs up button. It really does help. Just smash it. If you're on the fence, smash it. If you're not even thinking about it, smash it. If you're like, nah, I don't like nobody's videos, change that for 2023. Every YouTube video you watch, just give it a thumbs up. Help the creator out. It takes so much to make these videos. So go ahead and smash that like button. If you have any questions or anything, leave me a comment. You know, I'm always in my comments. I respond to them all. And yeah, that's all I have for you in this video. So I appreciate you being here. If you made it this far, thank you. And again, if you want to check out any of the info, my workshops, all that stuff, AnthonyToglife.com. Go check it out. So appreciate you being here. Until the next video, cheers. Take care. So good. So good. I do drink it all, by the way, too. I don't just pour it for the video. I do drink it.